Okay, we're getting to the last three sessions now. Now we're going to have an extraordinary panel run by the irrepressible Viktoriia Savitska. Sorry. I'll hand it over to you. The first time is better. Please come to the stage and introduce your panel. I wish you the best of luck. Round of applause, please.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I would ask you to maybe wait another minute because we have one more panelist who is joining us. Meanwhile, I will do some assistant job, please. You know, maybe I will actually go myself and get him. So we won't keep you here until midnight. Yes, started earlier. As promised, I did my job. Now we are all here and ready to start. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Viktoriia Savitska, and it's my great pleasure to be here today in this great event in Pristina. It's actually my second time in Kosovo, and you know, I got back not only because Burek, but also because of the amazing companies that I've met here. And having plenty of discussions with local startups and SMEs, I realized that a question of funding is actually coming out quite often, starting from how to get funding to, there are actually a lot of investors that think that it's risky to invest in Kosovo. Some actually don't even have ideas that there are so many opportunities in Kosovo. So I'm particularly glad that ICT Kosovo team decided to bring together this incredible panel and discuss the funding and investing landscape. So it's my pleasure to welcome our distinguished panelists. We have here, welcome AnaMaria Meshkurti, the Principal of Europe from Unorthodox Venture, the family office. We have Manuel Castañeda from Aston Group, the seasoned investor who has a vast experience in corporate and personal investments globally. And we have Osman Rraci, expert from European Development Bank for Construction. Welcome. So, since I promised everyone to get your secrets on how you invest, I will go straight to the point. AnaMaria, my first question is to you. When we talk about startup looking for investments, family offices, it's not really something that comes to your mind first. So could you share with us what differentiates family offices from corporate investors or VCs, and what value family offices bring when they invest in startup?
Thank you so much, Viktoriia. Hi to everyone. It's very bright here, I have to say, so I cannot see anybody. Basically, I represent a family office, which is called Unorthodox Ventures. We are based in Texas, in Austin, in the US, but I represent Europe, and my main job, I would say, is to look for deal flow in Europe. We are investing from 1 to 5 million per ticket. We do 25 to 30 million investments per year, and we are really looking at tech companies that are disruptive, tech companies in many fields, and I'll go a little bit back into why we're doing that. And of course, my goal, I'm Albanian, so my goal is to bring all the money to Albania and Kosovo, so please help me do that. If you have a company, please contact me on socials and send your deck and I'll be very happy to look at it. Now, on the family office side of things, I mean, years ago, I didn't even know what a family office is. And I always, I worked for the UN, and I looked at things on the investment side from the public sector, then for the Swiss government, where I'm based in Geneva, and the VC side of things, of course. And with family offices, it's very, very different. A lot of people don't look at family offices because it can be very complicated and very easy at the same time. This can be two types of family offices. Those that are, let's say, legacy money, so money that someone has inherited, and they are really looking at maximize their profit, and maybe they look at real estate deals and such kind of investments. And more of those kind of family offices are now looking at the tech world and investing their money there. And the second type of family office, which is the one I'm in, is that our founder, he sold his company 5 years ago for 500 million. He never took outside money, and then he decided he's not going to retire. He's going to continue to invest this money. And now, to give you some perspective, in our family office, there is no rules per se. So, of course, if you are looking to, have the structure of a VC where you have a lot of kind of criteria on what they invest on and such things, this is not for the family office. The family office world is a little bit, it's a single person's money if we're talking for a single family office, or many families' money if we're talking about multi-family offices. And it's really great because if it's a single person's money, you can technically meet sometimes that person in an event like this, and you can convince them to actually give you money, and they literally make the decision. So many times I present amazing deals, which I think are incredible, and money-making deals, and that person will just say, no, this is bullshit, because maybe they woke up this morning from the wrong side of the bed, or I didn't bring the deal at the right time. So that's kind of like the benefit of it, in the sense that you can make very close relations to that person, and sometimes you can also have that person as a champion, because if they really, really like your company, or if they really, really like you specifically and your team, they're going to keep following you in the next rounds. So many times we have done investments, usually we do seed to Series A, but because we really love, for example, one founder, and even they're struggling, we do the bridge, we do the save, we're doing the next investments with them. So that's very, very interesting. The other side of it is that if you find someone in your industry, let's say if you're in hardware, and you find the family office guy that is from the hardware industry, they can open a lot of doors for you. So that's very also interesting to find someone that is aligned. Now, the bad side of it, let's say, is that this investor is very emotional investor, is going to change his or her mind very fast, and this is not a VC structured approach. So sometimes VCs can open a lot of doors, they can lead rounds, they can attract other VCs. But with family offices, we come in between the angels and the big VCs, and we can lead, we can co-lead, but sometimes we try to also follow what the big guys are doing. So that's, I would say, I would leave it at this for now.
Thank you, AnaMaria. I mean, we definitely learned that it's quite fun to work with family offices. Manuel, coming to you. You have a vast experience in investing as personal investments and corporate investments. So from your experience, what qualities, or like what are the main points that you consider while considering startup to invest in?
Yes, thank you. I'm Manuel Barreiro. I'm the founder and chairman of the Aston Group. We have a little bit over $1 billion of capital that we're investing. And, there are many different things that you will look when you're thinking about the companies. But since we don't have a lot of time, I'll say probably 3 that, at least for me, are extremely important. The first one, when you look at a team, you want to know how well they know their market and how deep is this market. Is this a business that can grow to $5 million a year, $100 million, or $1 billion? So depending on that, then you can think about investing on the company. The second one, it's this might sound as a cliche, but how is the management? Are they really excited with what they're doing? Do they like their company? Do they really feel what they're doing? And that might sound silly, but it's really, really important, at least in my point of view. And then the last one is how structured they are. In this sort of business, unlike some other areas or some other sectors, a lot of people have fantastic ideas, but sometimes they're not very well structured. So they don't have corporate policies, they don't have a good accounting team, and that will prevent them to grow. So if they are not very well structured, you know that they might have a limit, so they will not be able to grow to the full potential, and that's always a problem, and that's something that we also try to take care when we are thinking about investing in new companies.
Thank you, Manuel. I'm sure our audience made some notes. And Osman, coming to you, could you share with us, please, talking about SMEs, how does the bank prioritize investments? How is it different from investments of corporate world?
Thank you, Viktoriia. Actually, EBRD is a financial institution which is based in London and operates in different countries, including here in Kosovo. We actually finance in different sectors, so we are not sector agnostic. We also invest in different fields, including manufacturing and ICT. Our investment pretty much are more into the classic way, while we invest a lot in private equity. So we invest in fund of funds. We provide funds to different private equity firms, which then invest to different ICT sectors, because these funds that we work with, they are specialized whether in technology, agriculture, fintech, and so on. So one of the closest funds we work with covering this region is South Central Venture, which is a private equity firm and which invests in smaller ticket investments, like less than 1 million. But unfortunately, the only thing that's a problem is of the size of the companies, because for two factors. First is because the country is rather small and the companies are rather small. And then even compared to some markets in the region, it still remains small, even if we control for the size of the country. Just to take some examples to illustrate, the UiPath company in Romania is currently being valued 10 billion, which if you compare with the GDP of the country, it's like 4%. So Kosovo's GDP is 10 billion, and 4% of 10 billion is 400 million. To the best of my knowledge, we don't have such a company with this valuation or valuation of the business, meaning that our companies, even though we think are small, even if we control for the size of the country, they still do remain small. If we take the case of Rimac in Croatia, that's again 2% of GDP. If we take Viva Valet in Greece, which is also an EBRD investment, that's around 3% of Greece GDP, which equivalent to Kosovo's size or Kosovo's GDP, it will be about 300 million valuation, which still we lack such a size of companies. And this really makes difficult for the investment opportunities to tackle directly from the bank itself, and that's why we channel through the private equity funds, which we invest in, and then they do channel to smaller deals. And one reason why we don't have locally based in Kosovo such funds is because they don't see not only the country but also the region as a big size. So, for instance, this South Central Venture firm, it's based in Ljubljana, and they cover this region from there. So maybe this is in a nutshell of what you asked for, but we're here to explore more. So.
Yes, thank you, Osman. That was really very interesting. Coming back to AnaMaria. AnaMaria, could you please share with us, as a family office, what you usually look at first while investing in startup? And also, because it's quite a specific when having this relationship with a family office. So could you tell us how startups can maintain this healthy relationship with a family office investor in a post-investment stage?
Yeah, perhaps I'm going to build on Manuel's point there because some of the things are the same, obviously. The first thing we look at, it's always, we would think it's the solution, but it's actually the team. So sometimes, we see really good solutions, but there's a lot of competition out there in the market. So when we do due diligence, many times we find actually better companies or better looking companies, and then it always comes down to the team. How are the founders? Would they take direction? Would they, be agile? Are they experienced enough? And something that is very important that we have seen, especially in the medical sector where we have invested quite a lot, is with founders, is this their technology or is it a technology that they have kind of taken from a guy that was doing their PhD and they invented this and he's just part of the team or she's just part of the team just kind of to take that technology on board, but actually the team is led by consulting or business people or marketing people. So that's something that we see a lot in our team, gets a lot of debate. So we want to have really the people that have come up with the technology also be part of the company. Sometimes we have seen many times the companies are going, for example, to big companies like Philips or Siemens, and then they take tech that is out there, but that the company will not be using. They license it and they try to create a company out of it. And we don't like this sometimes because it's not really the inventor part of the team. The other thing that we look at, because we're a family office, we don't have a huge team to do due diligence and we don't have a huge team of experts. We are a team of about 10 people. We have different expertise, but sometimes, expertise is also lacking. So when we're doing the investment committee, sometimes we cannot really understand fully what's going on in that startup. So if the startup is very good at explaining in an easy way what they're doing, but also how they're going to sell this product. So every time we see good companies, we don't understand how the go-to market is. And sometimes companies are not doing that. They say, yeah, our product is the best. We have a lot of connections, like believe us, we have letters of intent. But then we're not sure how can you sell this. And this is very important. You have to have a very, very clear go-to-market strategy and put a little bit of effort in it, sometimes even hire outside consultants for that, so that we can clearly understand, okay, this is how you are going to approach. Again, going back to the medical devices, because that's what we're investing this year quite a lot. We see sometimes companies that say, this is a great medical device, doctors are going to love it. When we show it to doctors, they love it. But actually it's the hospital procurement department that is going to buy that medical device. And if you don't have any contacts there, and if you're not talking to those people, it doesn't matter if doctors love it or not. You cannot do anything about it. So these are, let's say, like 2 points that we really, really look at constantly. And when I talk to startups and when they pitch to me, I always tell them, like, explain it to me as if I'm totally ignorant in your sector, so make it super easy. But also, please tell me, how are you going to reach the people that have the money and can buy your products? Because if you tell me, like, people love this product, etc., it doesn't matter, because if they are not your end customer, it doesn't matter to me. And if you're going in businesses like health, think of reimbursement as well. So big corporations, insurances, etc., they're going to buy your product. So these are things to keep in mind that maybe sometimes in the beginning you're not thinking about, but this is what we think about, let's say, from the other side. And I even one time heard someone pitching a cancer-related company, very interested. And one of the people in the team, which, I mean, it sounds terrible, but he said, yeah, it's all good saving people, but how are you going to make money with this again? Like, we didn't understand. So, of course, it's shocking, but in the end of the day, it comes down to that, because this is private investments of individuals that are looking for that return, as well as doing good and everything that comes with it.
Thank you, AnaMaria. Manuel, Aston Group invests globally, but could you share with us more what areas you invest in and in what you invest?
Yeah, we're an opportunistic fund, so we like to invest really on what provides good returns, as AnaMaria is saying. But there are 4 sectors right now that I think we like. The first one, a little bit related to what's going on in this conference, it's data centers. The amount of data that is going into the data centers because of the gaming industry, AI, and all the telecom is just growing tremendously. Just to give you some ideas, in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to store the same amount of data that has been stored for the last 25 years. So it's huge and it's growing, rapidly. The second one, it's clean energy. Of course, most of the countries are struggling right now with energy, not only energy prices because of the crisis in Ukraine, as you know, but just globally, we need more and more powers, again, because of all the data that it's just flowing through the world. The third one will be also a little bit related to energies, but a little more depending on demographics. Touching back on the point that the market in Kosovo is small, we like to look for places where we can place large demographics. Looking at Kosovo and all the young people that you have in here, you could probably export a lot of startups in the fashion industry, or in some other industries, tackling, a country like India that, has, a huge population. So we're looking into those 3 areas.
Thank you. I hope everybody heard, learned, and noted. Okay, Osman, and coming back to SMEs, could you share with us some examples or insights into successful partnership of the bank and SMEs, especially from tech sector?
Besides the funds I mentioned above, we also run an enterprise expansion fund, which is still managed by EBRD. We already made 2 investments in Kosovo, but unfortunately they are not in the ICT sector, so it's an amount of 26 million for 2 companies. But the closest company that we can mention from this fund, it's made in Serbia of 55 million to age tech company. Some of the folks here might already know this company because it's regionally known. And this is maybe the closest we could come to these investments. Otherwise, as I said, the one investment is also made from this South Central Venture private equity fund, which is still backed by EBRD and other investors. So for smaller tickets, we're better positioned through the private equity funds which we do invest in, rather than invest in directly, given again the size of the companies. But what we provide in addition to financing is also the advisory, coming back to the points we mentioned here, because advisory has been seen as very crucial to bring the companies to a stage where those would be investable, including those management skills and delegation of authority, reading of a term sheet, financial presentation, and so on. Maybe some of the cases that we learned, not only from Kosovo, but from other regions, what I learned also from other cases, is that most of the companies, when they do these presentations to the investors, they usually lack the financial explanations or the business model that they have provided into the financial figures. Because the idea is that most of the investors, including these private equity funds, they want to know the exit strategy, which comes in, let's say, in 5 years' time, and they want to see some scenarios, what happens in different alternatives. And that's what's usually missing to the startups and the ICT community when it comes to presenting with different investors. Maybe, I hope this answers some of your questions, Viktoriia.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Osman.
Thank you.
And AnaMaria, coming back to you, you are based in Geneva, in Switzerland. So could you point out, share some VCs or maybe hubs, actually these places where startups could go looking for investments or funding? I think especially in context of quite close ties between Kosovo and Switzerland, that could be a good destination for local startups to seek funding.
Yeah, definitely. So I used to work previously for the Swiss government in the canton of Geneva, and we had a foundation there where we would invest public funds in companies that were based in Geneva. And when I moved to Switzerland many years ago, I found it so incredible how easy it is to open a company there, in the sense that if you have a local partner that you can put as a director, you don't need to live there, you don't have to have a permit or anything like that. Just that local director has to do that. And then you have to put some working capital, around 20,000 Swiss francs, I think, for the kind of basic starting point in a bank account, which you can use to pay salaries or buy, goods and things like that. And it's pretty actually simple to do that. So you can open a branch there and you can benefit from all the funding that is available. Switzerland is they want to be the deep tech nation, so they really want to kind of put a lot of public funds into helping entrepreneurs open their companies there and attract foreign investment there. So there is a lot of things, I would say, going on. One of a very good resource is called Startup Ticker. So if you go on Startup Ticker and you can sign up for their newsletter, you constantly get like a lot of competitions, accelerators, various like pitching contents that they're doing constantly, which they're open to everyone, and you can sign up from anywhere, and that's like a really opening your door to the ecosystem. Another way that I've seen a lot of very smart founders open the door to the ecosystem is approach you to come on their board. So a lot of people don't think about their board. You think about, building your team, who is going to build your product, who is going to sell, and then you forget about the board because you say, okay, maybe this is going to come later. But actually, board members are very important. Why? Because you can put them out there, and it increases your, your, let's say, knowledge very, very fast. But it increases also your reputation. So, for instance, if you have a board member that is also sitting in a big company in the sector that you want to be in, maybe they are there because they know you, they like you, they want to support you. But later on, they might think of acquiring you. If you have a board member that sits in a VC fund, maybe they didn't invest in you in the beginning, but actually later on they might do that. So a lot of very, very smart founders do that. They approach people that are either sitting in government or sitting in foundations or sitting in people that are like coaches in big competitions or accelerators, and they say, can you be on my board? It's going to be something very easy. Once a month we have a mentoring session. And people say that, yes, because, you want to be on boards, you want to see what's going on, you connect with others. But that's a very smart way to do that. So I would say that's like a very good trick that I've seen from a lot of founders. And at the same time, I always say this to everywhere I go. Everybody goes on holiday all the time. And people tell me, I have a company and I don't know where to find the investments and I don't know where to pitch. But you are going on holiday. So when you go somewhere on holiday, just find the local hub. For example, like the tech hub, the tech park, the local incubator. Do some research so you can take 1 hour from your vacation and just go and visit them. And it doesn't cost you anything. You are in that city anyway. Let's say you're going to Geneva, you're going to Paris. Take that 1 hour and go and visit. And very fast, you will see that people are very open. They will give you the information. They'll put you on newsletter. And in the end of the day, it boils down to information. Because when you're not in this sector, I was working for the UN, as I said, for many years, and I was not in the private, let's say, funding sector. And in those years, I always said, there's no money. And actually, there is money. And everybody's complaining in this sector that there is no good ideas. We don't know where to invest money. This year, for example, we have a goal of 30 million, and we still haven't invested on the money. But there's a lot of startups out there. So just going and having that information, I think, is going to put you at the forefront and connecting with people. I used to go to a lot of conferences and meet people, listen to panels, and then I wouldn't connect with them afterwards, and I wouldn't send them a message or anything. And then I said, this was a waste of time. What did I do there? And then I started to think like, okay, it's my fault. So now when I like someone, even they pitch, they're not in my sector, I connect with them, I spend, a 15-minute Zoom call, everybody will do that and learn about that sector. And then I see like later in life, it comes in quite handy. So I would say that's what you really have to look at, and that's how you can get in the ecosystem without really living in the country.
Thank you, AnaMaria. I think that your LinkedIn might be down today, so be ready. Manuel, coming back to you, I have actually quite a complex question. First, what are challenges you think startups face while looking for funding, for investments? And the most interesting part, you have experience investing in very different markets. You have expertise in understanding various markets. From what you've seen and what you know about Kosovo, would you consider investing here? I think it's the most important question of our panel, actually.
Yes, and you have to make clear, commitments, money commitment.
That's a really, really good question. I think, what I see with small companies is that they're struggling because, they're getting out of the ground and they're really trying to survive rather than to, think in the future. But I think it's very important that, from the start point, you're really thinking of your company like you're going to go public sometime. So you have to be very structured from the beginning, again, doing the reporting and make sure that if you have an investor that is sitting 8,000 miles away, they will understand what you're doing and they will be able to trust you with the information that you send. You're here and you can talk, but if you're not here and you just get a report or a Zoom call, sometimes it's very difficult to digest what they're trying to convey. So that's one. The second thing is that, people is always worried about finding somebody like AnaMaria that will give you $500,000 or $1 million, but in many cases, it's a lot easier to find $100 million than $1 million. So it's really about just, again, sending the right message and making the investors comfortable with what you're saying. And for me in Kosovo, I mean, this is my first time in Kosovo, and it'll be a little bold to see exactly, you know, which sectors. But I see two things in here that I've seen in many other countries, like in Mexico, for example. The first one, you have a very young population, very vibrant and very excited about what's going on with the country. Yet, it's a small country, but you export a lot. You have a great talent. So for me, I've seen two things, and I've talked to different people during these few hours, and I think the fashion industry is something that you can attack. You have young people, you understand what's going on, and you can live and see what's going on anywhere around the world. And this is something that you can export, and the market is huge. And I've seen a lot of companies, especially out of the UK, working on this. And the second thing, and I think we've had our fair share of information this morning, is fintech. I think you're fairly advanced compared to some of the countries in Europe and in some other places, and I think this is something that you can exploit even further. And I would invest in those companies.
Good, thank you. Thank you, Manuel. That everybody heard. Osman, could you please tell us, if startup or SMEs, if somebody in our audience today decides to seek investment in the bank, what steps, what is the procedure, where to start, how to do it?
Thank you. We are very open, and we receive different kind of clients, and we have a different meeting with clients. So our key message is come to our office and talk to us. We have lots of startups that we're working with, because as I said in my previous discussion, we also do provide the advisory services. So we're trying with the startups to work with them to prepare all of the necessary information and procedures that they need in order to become more bankable or more investable from different funds. We also run a specific program which is only for startups with focus on the ICT sector, which is called Star Venture. And there we kind of have an open call where the companies can apply there, and then if they're selected, then we match with different world-known mentors to kind of navigate through their ideas and build the business model. And then we also help them to meet different investors, because we go through our own list of private equity funds which EBRD has invested in. And we also can connect with different advisory projects to become more advanced in these areas in terms of staff training and product validation and so on and so forth. So the best thing is to come and to talk to us and to apply for these programs. And of course, besides the private equity funds that we will refer to, I make sure that we will refer also to Unorthodox Ventures and to the Aston group as well, because our clients are trying to get funds everywhere, given the lack of private equity funds locally.
Thank you, Osman. So to round up our discussion, I have actually last question for all of you. If we sum up everything what you said, taking into account your expertise, your experience, what is that last and the most important piece of advice that you would give today to startups and SMEs in our audience? Please, we start with AnaMaria, yes?
Ladies first.
Yes.
This is going to be very controversial, but if you don't have to, don't take outside money for your business, because investors are really, really intense. So if you can remortgage your house like 10 times or get loans, credit lines, and this is something for the banks out there in the countries, because it's very hard for entrepreneurs to open bank accounts, to get loans from banks, and sometimes, you know, you have a lot of clients and you just need a little bit of money to get started, and I would call on the banks to really kind of make it easier on entrepreneurs to do that, because investors are sharks many times and they're really out there looking for returns, and sometimes they might really push you to go faster and really push the business into another direction, because maybe it's going to make more money. So from all, I would say the most successful entrepreneurs, it's if you don't have to, don't go and raise. I've seen a lot of people raising just because it looks like you have to raise. You don't have to raise money. You have to find clients. So focus as much energy on finding clients as much as on raising money. So that would be, I would say, definitely the first one. And the second one that I see sometimes entrepreneurs are not looking so much at this, focus on your online persona as well. We are living in a global world. Your online presence is very important. One entrepreneur pitched to me a very interesting company, but I couldn't find him online at all. So I thought he was very shady. Then I asked him, and he told me, oh, I'm not really into social media. And I was like, you're pitching me a tech business, you are not in social media. It was all weird. So we do that due diligence even before we talk to you. So please, you don't have to be everywhere, but really try to talk, write articles, try to spend a little bit of time, maybe get an intern, sometimes sound bad, but to really focus on building your profile. Because sometimes like that, we will discover you and we'll say, oh, this is a cool company and this seems like a cool, knowledgeable person. So really try to focus on that as well. Even maybe you're not a marketing person, try to see how to do that. And then I would say, and it's very also not good, this word, but harass as many people as you can. Because, you get sometimes one shot at meeting someone, don't let that shot go away. You have been today, for example, spending a lot of time in this amazing event, and congrats to the team and everyone. But if you liked someone, just go talk to them. Don't say, I'm going to connect later or I'm shy. Because this is the moment to do it. You already spent your time, you invested in this conference, so get something in return out of it. And sometimes that's just a simple connection, but it might bring you something later in the future. And of course, if you are in Geneva, Switzerland, you can always write to me, and I'm definitely going to come out and connect you to the ecosystem.
Thank you, AnaMaria. I'm sure that three of you will have LinkedIn down tonight. So, Manuel, please.
Yes, I think, we're always very tight on time and we get a lot of opportunities. So simple is better. If you're able to pitch your project in 5 minutes and in 1 page, it's probably a good deal. If you have to spend 1 hour and send me a deck with 100 pages and you don't get the idea, it's probably not going to work. So just make sure that you're able to convey the message in 5 minutes, in 1 page, and then that probably will get the attention to follow up on the actual project on a total.
Great, thank you, Manuel. Osman, to you.
Complementing in the two previous speakers, maybe two things to have in mind is the size and scale, and also to find the kind of a tipping point when the company needs to approach the investors. Maybe not at the very early stage, but not also to the very latest stage. So the art is to find the middle point to approaching the investors. And the other thing is that only to approach investors that kind of understand the business model that the company has. And one more thing is to add that don't go to the investors only with the idea without having put that into the business model and then into a business plan and then presenting to the and wait till you generate some revenue before speaking with the investors. Otherwise, you cannot build projections without having some real sales, let's say.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Osman, AnaMaria, and Manuel, for sharing these amazing insights. Big thanks to our audience and, of course, to our organizers. Yes, please. I'm coming to you. With great pleasure.
Yeah, of course, I need to tell something all the time. So very glad to have you here. Viktoriia, AnaMaria, Manuel, and Osman, we had a different story here in Kosovo, and I want to ask you a question about it. AnaMaria told us about the public funds the government of Switzerland is giving to the startups. It already creates something. And I know that all other countries are giving something to the startups. What we are missing right now in Kosovo, we are missing seed money and angel investors. What can we do about it? Because they are crucial for the startups at the early stage, at the first year of existence. They need some kind of push until they get to you guys. What can we do, or do you know a way for our startups here, how to be able to attract the angel investors?
Maybe from the Swiss perspective, I would say it's a two-way approach. The first one is there is a lot of responsibility on the successful companies that are already in Kosovo. So be it a startup or be it successful SMEs, successful business people, they need to definitely give back. So a lot of companies in Switzerland that started as a small startup and became very big, they have made a pledge that they will give back money, either put it in a fund that is managed maybe like an association like STIC is, or do it and is a sort of like LPs coming together, but really making that commitment from the beginning and saying, you know, if I reach that level, I give you a commitment that I'm going to give, you know, X amount of money in the first year, in the second year, for 5 years, and that's going to already start some seed capital that can be redistributed. So that's the first thing, and it really, this rests on the business people that have built those successful startups. Remember yourselves when you started, remember who helped you, and try to be that change and that catalyzer in the ecosystem, because only you can do it. And once people will see money, once we see something is being funded, we will come and follow it as well, because we want to come where the success is. But if nobody is touching it, you know, it's like those parties, like you come, you see one person, you leave because, oh, there's nobody here. So try to be, you know, many people at the party, let's say, so that we can join it. And the second thing is, it comes down to legislation maybe, and I'm not very familiar with that, but for attracting investors, I mean, angel investors are everywhere. And they, again, everybody wants to come where the money is, and they want to come where the successes are. And people are happy to come to Kosovo, happy to come to anywhere that they can invest, and maybe sometimes smaller tickets. Maybe it could be a 100K ticket, a 50K ticket. It doesn't have to be always the millions, right? And for that, you need to create good legislation and also clubs. Angel clubs, investor clubs, because if I wanted to invest in Kosovo today, and I'm Albanian, I speak the language, I know quite some people here, honestly, I would have no clue where to go. I don't know who is going to help me. I don't know how my money is going to be used, how my money is going to be protected, you know, is this startup legit or not? So I wouldn't know. So even I might have, like, I don't know, 30K, 40K to come and invest, I have no clue how to do it. So if there is an entity to do that, an association, some legislation, something clear, then of course I will be happy to come and bring this money here instead of investing it in a company in Switzerland where I feel a little bit more comfortable. So if I'm not clear, imagine others that are not from the region and don't understand. So that would be at least 2 points from the experience.
Thank you, AnaMaria. Manuel, Osman, would you like to add something?
Sure. I'm going to push back the question to you. Of course, you know, this is not Geneva, and you do not have the same funds that Geneva has. But the thing is that if you're asking for money, if you were asking for money first, I would say, okay, I will put a fund, but it has to be in order. I will probably encourage you to create a team and say, okay, we're going to be revising startups, and out of 100, maybe you have 5 that you think they're really good, and then you come and say, okay, I have these 5, but if it's just not well organized, nobody's going to throw money. So I think that the easiest way when you don't have money is really to put sweat equity. So if you create a team of experts that are able or have a little bit of expertise on how to you know, revise these companies and make sure they work and that you think they're profitable and there's a market. There are not that many things that you need to find. They're just really, you know, business fundamentals. And if you have that, again, you know, you might have to screen 100 or 200 companies, but if out of those, you know, 10% are companies that you think you like, then I think, you know, at least from my point of view, I'll be happy to come and you know, put some money down.
Thank you. Osman?
I'm local here, so I agree with I agree here, but just one point to mention is that usually from the practices in other countries is that, like the ICK we have here in Kosovo, they would create an investment arm for these very early startups, usually crowdfunding, but unfortunately the local law from the central bank, I think, doesn't allow the pure crowdfunding. So I would opt for the different associations, including STIC, to lobby for this and to work with the different working groups, and to aim to change this law for allowing crowd funds, which would then invest to this very small companies, because there are, as you said, some small investors that would be ready to put the money in.
Thank you. Thank you for your valuable comments. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, so we do not have time for more questions, but we are all here tomorrow, so please reach out, come if you have any questions. We will be happy to chat, and our panelists are here. We will not let them leave before you will get everything you want. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our panelists, to our audience. Have a nice Rest of the bed.
Thank you. That was awesome. I think that was one of the best panels of the day. AnaMaria, you've got a fantastic voice. Very loud. Bravo. 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 And a round of applause for Viktoriia for a wonderful moderation, please.